Hey everybody, this is Alex Merced from alexmercedcoder.com, and in this video what I'm going to be doing is talking about JSON Web Token, a topic I haven't really talked about yet. And JSON Web Token is a pretty important thing in most websites. They do have JSON Web Token libraries for pretty much every programming language. Here I'm going to specifically talk about using JSON Web Token in a node development environment. And basically what JSON Web Token does is just takes a payload, meaning information, and encrypts it and gives you back a token. And then you can use that token to decrypt it and get that information back. The benefit of JSON Web Token, where JSON Web Token is used a lot, is authorization. So again, a difference between authentication and authorization. Authentication is actually, okay, you have like their password and username in a database and you check it to make sure it's accurate. So there you usually use bcrypt. Okay, that's usually like sort of the library I see used all the time. And bcrypt will encrypt their password, and then you'll use bcrypt to compare it to whatever information they submit on login. That's fine, and then now they've logged in. But you want to make sure that they stay logged in, okay? And you can do that using like a session on the server side, but this kind of assumes that every time they go to a new web page, it's going to go check again with the server to make sure that there's a open session, and that not necessarily be the case. You may have this sort of, big giant one-page application, and they're going through it, and you want to make sure that they can only access certain parts of the website because they're logged in. So JSON Web Token allows us to kind of operate anywhere. Okay, you create the token, you store it where you need to store it, so you can store it in the server. So what I've seen a lot is people will have an entry in their user information database with their current JSON token, and then whenever they get to a web page, it'll automatically pull that user's information, check to see if the token's valid, and if the token's valid, then they can explore the website. You could also put it maybe in your session storage locally on the browser, so it's a cookie that's only lasts when the browser's open. But one of the other cool benefits of a JSON Web Token is that, let's say you had multiple websites, okay? But they're all part of let's say you're a bank and you may have 3 or 4 different applications, and when a user logs into one, you want them to be able to already be logged into all the other ones. You can kind of do that with the JSON Web Token. You can sit there and have a JSON Web Token that gets verified by the application when you go to the website, gives them the information so they can go check the user. They go check the user and see, okay, they're logged in, and then they don't have to re-log in, even though they're on a separate application, on a separate domain, on a separate subdomain. Yeah, the idea is you just check if the token exists. So where you store the token, where you store it in your database, where you store it in session storage or local storage. Again, be careful what you store in local and session storage. You don't want to, because if somebody else takes that token from their session or local storage, then they can basically be them until the token expires. So, but what it does, so let's actually use it so you can see what I mean. So I've installed the library, so you can just type in, I'll just reinstall it just so you can see, npm, I'll just do this, there you go, npm install JSON Web Token. Okay, you run that, you install it. So I've already installed it, but I'm gonna let it install again. Do. Okay. I swear I just updated npm. Okay. But anyways. Now, in a JavaScript file, I bring in a JSON Web Token. So I say, hey, I'm going to have a variable called JWT. I want it to store the contents of the JSON Web Token library. And then now I have JSON Web Token. There aren't many functions in JSON Web Token. If you want to see all the functions, I always like the console.log the library to make sure I imported it correctly. So I just do this. And if we run that, nope. Control C. Okay. If I run that, you'll see that JSON Web Token doesn't have that many functions. We're talking about 6 functions. And really, we're just going to be talking about sign and verify. Okay? So let's talk about it. So let's say here I have the user's information. So let's create an object called the user info. Okay. So this is name, Alex, password, cheese. Neat. Okay. So now what I want to do is I want to like encrypt this. So the person's logged in successfully. I want to stash this away somewhere so I have it for safekeeping. But I don't want to just leave it like this because someone can just really easily take that information and be able to use our user stuff. Okay. And whatever, and I can put literally any information I want in there. So that's what's our payload. I can put all sorts of stuff in here. Anything you want to kind of grab ever so often. So now I want to sign the variable. So we'll say, hey, const my token. So we're going to actually go get our token. And I will do jwt dot sign. I'm going to sign a token. First thing I'm going to do is put in the payload. My payload is the user info. And then I have to sign it with the key. The key could be anything. This is why you should probably be using environmental variables to do this. I'm not going to use environmental variables here because I'm just showing you the basics of how this works. If you don't know how to use environmental variables, then you really should learn how. I do have videos on that. You can watch my series on Koa or Express, and actually pretty much any of my video series that go over sort of backend libraries will cover environmental variables. But user info, okay, and then I'm going to just use cheese as my string. So the idea is you're just putting a string that basically says this is the signature. This is like my little passphrase. And then I think I could just stop here and this would work. And I would get my token. So just to show you, console.log my token. See, and there we have this token. Nice. Now I'm pretty sure as the third argument you can actually pass in a callback of what you want to happen once the token's signed. So I can do something like this. So error. So the first argument to that callback is always the error if something goes wrong. And then the second one is the token. So then I can be like console.log backticks. I made my token. And then I'll just put the token in there. Token. So let's run that, see if that works. Okay, let's, yep, and then I made my token. Where's that console? Oh, okay, because it runs asynchronously. Okay. Because when you do that, it's going to run asynchronously, so that technically the token was not created till after this line of code ran. Okay, since I didn't pass in this callback the first time, it ran synchronously, so it made my token before it moved on. So the behavior of the function will change depending on how you do it. Cool. Yeah. So I'm going to take that out because I don't really, but you can do that. Now I want to sign the token. I want to go get that information back. So let's say const, call it decoded, meaning my decoded information. And we'll do jwt.verify. Then I say, hey, I want to verify my token. And the passphrase should be cheese. And then we're going to console log my decoded message. Console.log decoded. Save. Cool. So if we look through this, see, first it decodes it. So that got decoded. I mean, first we encoded it, then we decoded it, and notice it says has my payload, name, password, but now it has this other thing here. Okay, this stands for, I'm pretty sure it's invalid at. That's just when the token expires. So what's going to happen is that since I'm not specifying when it expires, there's like a default number. I forget how long it is. But basically, if I try to use this token after this set time, it's gonna, even though I may have the right key phrase, it's still gonna fail the verification because it's after that time. So every token gets signed within sort of an expiration time. Um, let's take a look at what the default is by looking at the docs. Does it tell me? Okay, let's see here. If callback is applied, it runs asynchronously. We know this. It is basically, and then there's another thing. There's like an argument you can pass in, far as this object here, where you can put in all sorts of different options. So, for example, in this case, they're changing the algorithm that they're using to encrypt this to RS-256, and there's other options you have. Do they list them here? Well, they're listed on the main Json website, so I don't think I have that open anymore. Nope. But yeah, so you can change that, and then see here they're putting in more information. So sign, expiration. So you put the expiration in the payload. Makes sense. Secret expires in 60 by 60. Another way to generate a token. This is. Oh, or you can even pass it in the. So there's two ways to do that. Okay, you can pass an expiration property in the payload with when you want it to expire, or I can pass in. So if I go back over here. So then when I pass in this configuration object, I can do like algorithm. SHA-256. Okay, and then what was the exact? Let me just make sure I type the algorithm right. Yep, RS-256. Okay, and expiration date. Okay. Or you can just put in like 1 hour. I like that better. Okay. So then you can do here and then do expires in. We'll say one. I'm assuming we're going to stick to 1 hour. Let me just see. That's supposed to be in a string, right? Yeah. 1 hour. Okay, and then that should generate a token that expires in 1 hour, encoded by 256. So it should look a little bit different. So let's see here. Let's run that again. Oh, something was wrong. Ow, because I spelled the algorithm wrong. Because, yeah, I do that. Algorithm. Apparently I can't spell today. So algorithm, let's go take a look. Algorithm. Yeah, I think I put too many O's in there. Algorithm. Yep. Too many O's. Save. Still something wrong. Algorithm must be a valid string. Oh yeah, I forgot that I have to change this to RS-256. Save. Let's keep going. Let's see what's wrong now. Routines, get name, no start line. That's a strange error. I'll just take out algorithm. Let me just check if I did expires in right. Expires in. Yeah, that looks right. So I'm just going to take out this algorithm thing. I'll play with that later. It's an option. The idea is you can pass it an object that has options. Okay, there we go. Okay, so there it's encoded. It's decoded. And see, now it has an expiration date. There. Oh, okay, I see. This is when it was created. Okay, this is the when it was created, and this is when it expires. So by default, it doesn't have an expiration date. Cool. But yeah, that's it. Basically, you verify tokens and you sign tokens, and you can put information in those tokens that you can get access to. But the cool thing is you can encrypt the sensitive information, and people can't decrypt it unless they have the right secret key. And that's it. That's literally. I mean, there's other functions. There's other options you can put in there. You can change the expiration date. You can change the algorithms we discussed. Let me see if there's any other really juicy ones. There's just like other stuff that you can put into this. Again, you can put in callbacks to do it asynchronously, but literally the bulk of what you're doing here is signing the token, storing it somewhere, and then when needed, you verify the token. And if the token is verified, then they can do things. That's it. No, there's no magic here. Now again, how you decide to store it, what I've seen again, typically in a database somewhere, but where do you sign it during the login session? Up to you, it's your application. But this is how you use the JSON Web Token Library. It's not super complicated. It's just, again, payload, key, payload, key. So my name is Alex Merced from alexmercedcoder.com. Have a great day and enjoy.